Time now for bronze as Denmark line up with Tanja Gelantine and Matthias Fullerton go up against Korea. And the Kim and Kim pairing of Kim Yun-hee and Kim Jong-ho face Denmark for the compound mixed team bronze medal. Let's go down for the team introductions.
Kim Yun-hee, Kim Jong-ho. Shooting on target number 2, representing Denmark, Tanja Gelantine, Matthias Fullerton. World Archery's line judge for this match is Liz Perez.
So team introductions done. Kim Yun-hee and Kim Jong-ho, both 27 years old, came through Slovenia and Italy before losing to India in the semi-finals. Gelantine and Fullerton line up for Denmark, who beat Luxembourg and Guatemala before losing to Colombia. It's arguably a better run to the semi-finals for Denmark, but they still lost out. It's not often, though, that you say, when Korea are on the lineup, that the other team are the favourites. But Nikki, Denmark have Tanja Gelantine in their lineup. She's the world #1, and Fullerton's in the top 10 in the world.
Yeah, they really are a strong duo, so let's see what they can do against a really strong Korean team.
Tanja Gelantine of Denmark will get the bronze medal match in the mixed team underway here in the compound division, starting with a very confident 10.
Quite a long hold. Moving around quite a bit in this wind.
Matthias Fullerton done well, though, just 18 years old, in the top 10 in the world already. One of the stars of World Archery's innovative lockdown knockout during the COVID restricted period. Korea beginning Kim Yun-hee with a 9.
I think that sun is now really starting to become a problem. You know, it's right in their faces, front of the targets. Most of the archers shooting here with the peak on, which is good. Got a small peep sight to look through that sits in the back of that string, so if they're blinded by sunlight, it can make things tricky.
We see Fullerton wearing blue tinted sunglasses, and often you see archers with different colours on their glasses. What's that all about, Nikki?
Well, the different colours in the lenses will change the colours that you see on the target face. It might brighten some colours more than others, and again it changes as to what conditions you're shooting in. Sometimes you'll shoot darker lens in bright sunshine, or a lighter lens if it's quite dull. So, you know, it's perfect personal preference, but it just helps really with what the archer is seeing.
Well, just like that, we've been through the first of 4 ends, and Korea coming away with the 1-point lead. Early days, though, but look at those flags in the background.
Fullerton's just signalling how difficult it is, holding that bow still, getting battered around in the wind.
Very relaxed on the Danish side. You wouldn't think that, 1, this is a World Championship medal match, and 2, that they're trailing. But actually, we've seen a couple of times today that keeping that calm and that cool when the conditions are so changeable actually works.
Yeah, they're 1 point down, it doesn't matter. They've got to stay calm, stay cool, stay in the present. You know, they're doing all the right things. Tanja Gelantine had a massive breakthrough this season, you know, never won a World Cup before. Got a silver at the first one, finally had a breakthrough in Lausanne, winning at that stage, and ever since then she's just got better and better, so brimming with confidence.
Certainly brimming with confidence, and sporting a Another potentially Korean controversial hairstyle there, Kang Chae-young. 3 of the Korean flags poking out of her hair there in support of the recurve archer here supporting their compound teammates. So Galantine stepping up to the line, trailing by a point here in the mixed team bronze medal match.
Just as she was setting up, you see a bit of tree just hit her feet, you know. I didn't think the wind was that strong, but obviously leaves coming off the tree, which is a bit disconcerting.
Didn't seem to bother her too much. Goes for a measure here. Now, Matthias Fullerton was talking about it being thrown around. You can see that stabiliser moving a little bit, but he actually settled then, didn't he?
He did, he was strong, he was pulling on that back wall and he stuck with it. Really, really nice shot.
We've said it twice now, pulling on that back wall. Now, what exactly are you talking about there?
So we can't quite see, but the top and the bottom of these bows have got little cams on, and as they rotate, they'll get to a point where they stop. They have a little peg on most of them where they hit the string, and that we call the wall because it's solid. You can't pull it any further than that. It stops at that point. Completely different from a recurve, which as you pull the string, the limbs bend. You can keep pulling it to any point, but you know, very different with the compound. You hit the wall.
So when you say pulling on the back wall, that's a good thing. That's good for your technique. It's an anchor point. Is that a good way of describing it? For
the anchor point is like where your fingers touch your face, so that would be your anchor point. But yeah, you've got to be against the wall, otherwise if you come slightly off, we call that a valley, and otherwise you might get pulled forward depending on how aggressive the cam is.
So a 7 there from Galantine has really opened things up for Korea here. Important arrow from Fullerton. Pings it into the 9. 35 for them, dropping 5 points. Gives it an opportunity for potentially huge lead here of 6 points. And for the perfect. And that is a perfect 40 for Korea, and that does give them a 6-point lead at the halfway stage. Korea in command of the compound mixed team bronze medal match against Denmark. Well, it just goes to the measure. Nikki, I just want to go a little bit more into depth about what you're talking about against the wall here. And when I mentioned an anchor point, I clearly realised that's not the best word to use when you're talking to an archer. But for a non-archer, what I'm talking about is a support point, hitting that. If you hit that wall, and you then mentioned a valley, which obviously is a really good contrast, that you, within a valley, you have a bit of room to get pushed around. Whereas if you've got your back against the wall, you can't move any further back.
Exactly right. So as those cams, those round things on the top and the bottom of the bows, as you pull your bow back, you'll watch the cam rotate, and it'll, you know, it's very, very difficult initially to pull a compound bow, but then it gets very light as the cam takes the weight. You know, depending on the shape of the cam, dictates how aggressive it is and how much of the weight it takes. But it'll get to a point where most of them, like a peg, will hit either the limb or the string, and that will be like a hard stop point. So we call that the wall, because that's the point where you stop. But if you let off a little bit, you get into this like valley, which is a bit light and moves around a bit. If you go further, the bow will pull you forward again quite aggressively. So the best place to shoot these compounds is from on the wall. So you get a nice balance, trying to push and pull, resist the bow from both front and back.
So if you see someone or someone's back arm moving around, it's very likely that they're not on the wall. Denmark in a whole world of pain here, trailing by 5 at the halfway stage. Tanya Galantine puts it into the 10, just what the Danes required.
I wonder if she's struggling with the light, you know, because I just looked at her scope and it looks like there's a bit of a makeshift shelter over the top of her scope, so that might be an issue why she's been struggling and had that 7 in the last end.
Yes, you can see. Well, we'll get a better look when we get to Galantine's next shot. We switch over to Korea. Well, doesn't matter what troubles the Danes are having. That is 10 number 6 in a row for Korea. Dialed into the centre, no matter the wind or the light conditions.
And a 10.
Well, we can hear the wind pick up again.
From Korea so far.
And there you see at the front of the bow, there's, like you say, makeshift. That looks like a
10 points.
bit of card that's been wrapped around with a piece of string.
It does.
Well, it's made all the difference as well. 2 10s for Galantine.
And Matthias with an 8 on that shot.
I'm not happy
Got
with
pushed
that
around
one.
by the wind.
Just getting buffeted by the wind there, perhaps?
Yeah, you could tell immediately his reaction to try and bring it in. He just probably wasn't aiming in the right place where he wanted it to be.
10 points.
Right, now it's a case of watch out for when the Koreans miss the 10.
8 10s in a row for Korea. And they've shot 10 of them so far in this match. Just out.
Here's a 9 for a 39, but another 2-point advantage for them going into the final end. Korea lead Denmark 117 to 110 for the compound mixed team bronze medal here at the 2021 World Championships.
Final regulation scoring in. Trying to extract every single point.
Well, Nicky, I'm just going to ask you about this makeshift site. What I know it's a daft question, but why has she put that on? Is the sun shining down onto it and causing a problem?
Yeah, it looks like the sun is pretty much behind the target, so if the sun's right in the scope that you're trying to aim with, then it just can blur everything. You just can't see anything at all. I think they've put it on before they've come into the stadium, but I just noticed it. I think after that second end that that might be something she's been struggling with. I think the practice field is to our right. They've had similar conditions over there before they've come out onto this venue, and it's just something they've had to work with to try and make sure that she can see, because when that sun comes out, it is right in those archers' eyes.
Saying that though, yes, of course, shooting in nearby conditions is very helpful, but the target practice range is pointing in an opposite, 90 degrees. Almost 90-degree angle to this range, so they'll be shooting across the sun rather than into it.
Yeah, it does look slightly angled, and I think that's why we've seen bit differences in particularly the windage when the archers have come across to this venue.
Tanya Galantine gets end number 4 underway with Denmark struggling against Korea, coming in 110 to 117 behind. Yankton holding on a little bit longer this time, having experienced a bit of buffeting with his last arrow. Holds on, it works out for a 10.
끝까지 확신이 갖고 할 수 있어. 끝까지 쳐다봐야 돼. 나이스, 잘했어.
And that's a 9.
7시 9.2 8시. 나이스!
Just out
또
to
10시.
9.
괜찮아.
Each team with a single end left. 2 arrows each.
Last arrow for Tanya Galantine here. There's not a whole amount they can do. That's close to the line. It's marked for a measure. First sight looked out.
I'd probably say it looked out from here, but the judge will check it.
This time they are in fact calling it a 9.
2, 4, 6, 7.
Matthias closing out the shot for Denmark.
Getting the countdown there. So 148 for Denmark. just 13 points ahead of Korea, who have got 2 arrows and a maximum of 20 to score. It would have to be a big mistake here from one of the Kims. Just getting thrown around there. An 8 is the lowest score in the match so far, but even with an 8, Kim Jong-ho just needs a 7 to take the compound mixed team bronze medal here at these World Championships.
시간 많아. 끝까지 해. 할 수 있어.
Gets it out for a 9, finishes with a very conservative 35, but a 152 to 148 means that Kim Yoon-hee and Kim Jung-ho take the compound mixed team bronze medal for Korea.
Here in South Dakota.
9-8.
Nikki, I think at the end of the day we have to just say that Galantine and Fullerton, despite being on paper favourites, were buffeted by the conditions a lot more, and the Koreans just handled it better.
Yeah, I have to say, you know, Tanya and Mateus were both shooting probably more back tension styles, whereas the Koreans there did look like they were more shooting what we would call punching, which it can work better in the windy conditions because you basically do a drive-by. As soon as you see the gold, you smack the trigger. You know, that can work as a short-term option. Don't think it's a long-term solution, personally. But, hey, it worked for them right here, and the Koreans are walking away with a bronze medal.
Am I right in saying, from your description you've given me both on air and off air, that it's a riskier strategy, the punching strategy, because if you get it wrong, you can get it very, very wrong?
You can, but I also just see it as a ticking time bomb, because at some point archers who punch the trigger will have an issue where they struggle to shoot. So that is like my biggest issue with the whole thing. So I was really lucky. I got taught how to shoot a release aid with an unconscious release from the very first arrow. That's pretty unusual. That's pretty unique. I never punched the trigger because it just didn't come into my mind. I didn't know how to. But you know, those who do can do well in certain tournaments, but at some point, like we saw Sara Lopez this year struggling a bit, we'll have to spend some time rebuilding the shot, and I never had to do that. I was able just to continue, you know, at a decent level all the way through.